Back with another Pirkei Avot discussion. We are now on to this is the 12th video, so we're now on to the 12th text in the first chapter. And we now arrive at the 5th out of 5 passing alongs or receiving of pairs handing it off to another pair. Here's what I mean. Starts off, Hillel and Shammai received it from them. Now, again, as I've mentioned before, it's unclear, incredibly vague as to what this pair is receiving from the preceding pair. Whether it's some sort of mantle of leadership, specifically Torah leadership, religious leadership, something, it's highly, incredibly vague. And we first now start off with Hillel. And Hillel says, well, actually, it's really fascinating because we have seen almost the entirety of this chapter to this point has really been about threes. There have been tripartite statements, wisdom sayings. Hillel now breaks with this and has 5, not 3, 5. This is a strange move on Hillel's part. And here is what he advises. 1, be amongst the disciples of Aaron. And then he goes on to say 4 other things. It seems almost as if he really has one thing, be amongst the disciples of Aaron, and now four aspects of what it means to be amongst the disciples of Aaron. The first of these, love peace. Pretty straightforward. Love peace. I would imagine that means seeking out, it's actually interesting because we're going to see the second thing. Pursue peace. Loving peace is one certainly aspirational. You want peace. That really is your ultimate desire. You want peace amongst people. That is one level of an orientation towards peace, loving it. He then says, rodef shalom, pursue peace, chase after it. Here, what he seems to be saying, for what Hillel is saying, it's not enough. It's good to be a lover of peace, but to be amongst the disciples, one of the students of Aaron, you need to go and pursue it. You need to actively engage in peacemaking. The third, he goes back to love. Love people. Love people. Now, the Hebrew is ohev et habriot. Ohev et habriot. Love creatures. This could be all types of creatures. There is an ambiguity there. How expansive? Is it all creatures or more limited to purely humanity? But either way, love them. And finally, makarvan la Torah. Bring them close to Torah. This fourth aspect of what it means to be amongst the disciples of Aaron seems to make that third one of loving creatures to be more specifically oriented towards people. Now, bringing people closer to Torah seems really to be very specific to Jews. Loving peace, pursuing peace, loving people, and bringing them closer to Torah. It's interesting that both the first and the third of these aspects, according to Hillel, of what it means to be Aaron's disciples, are about love. Right? Love, but loving peace, loving people, these are nice. But the second and the fourth really have more of a sense of doing something about this. I'd like to think about his advice as to, or really his categorization or his understanding of what it means to be Aaron's disciples as a 2x2 matrix, as it were. So you have 2x2. So in the first column, it's about love. In the second column, it's about doing something, an actionability, pursuing what it is in that first column. And obviously, in the first column, it's in the first row, it's about peace, and in the second, it's about creatures. So I like to think of this one as a 2x2 matrix of loving and then doing, both peace and people. It's good stuff. It's really hard to argue with loving and pursuing peace. It's hard to argue with loving people. Bringing them close to Torah is definitely an interesting move. Bringing them closer. It's also fascinating about the verb used, bringing them closer, meaning they have, what is their proximity to Torah or to Jewish instruction or Jewish practice or Jewish life? And I think that's really what he's part of this this love, is expressing this love. Again, I think it's oriented towards, and specifically towards Jewish folks. I don't think he's advocating proselytizing non-Jews, bringing people closer to Torah. So I just as one little tidbit, it's actually these four aspects of what it means to be a disciple of Aaron is an innovation of Hillel's. We don't see anything about what it means to be a disciple or a student of Aaron in the Torah. We don't see any articulation of that. This seems to be an innovation of Hillel's in this text. All right, we have more Hillel coming tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.